I have challenged myself today. So I'm Salavalo. I've been to every country in the world. If you don't know me, so most of my videos I do are about the different countries, about my travels all around the world. And I have been missing travel because of COVID, and so today I decided to challenge myself, think back on all the memories of all the different countries, and decide on the best 3 countries in each continent. Now, this list will change if you ask me tomorrow, if you ask me another day, and I really wanted to sit down and think, like, what does best mean? Is it about like best to travel? I don't know, but I just thought, okay, these are the countries that I think are the best. So I have racked my brain, looked at photos, looked at the map, just really thought through what I wanted to share. So today, these are the best 3 countries in Asia. Number 1, and perhaps many of you don't even know about this country, haven't even heard about it, but is on top for a lot of extreme travelers or people who've traveled to many countries, is Tajikistan. So Tajikistan is one of the most mountainous countries in the world. I think it's something like 90% of the country is mountains. And so that makes incredible scenery.
I want you to come join me as I make 193 journeys.
There are snow-capped mountains, there are green plains, there's bright sky. It's just a stunning place to look at. In terms of the natural beauty, the favorite place that I went is Iskandarkul. So, a few hours drive from the capital of Dushanbe, through rugged mountains and just insane cliffs off to the side, you get to this lake that is pristine, calm, just completely reflective. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And when I went, there was no one else there at all. We were completely alone, and it was completely magical. Tajikistan also has the Pamir Highway and the Pamir Road, which is supposedly one of the world's most dangerous roads because it gets very high, and it goes through parts of Tajikistan and also kind of into Pakistan and into other areas. But it's this very picturesque and beautiful and dangerous place that I've not actually been on, and it's one of my big goals because, as some of you know, I love big road trips. And not only the natural scenery and this insane mountain views, but Tajikistan, like the rest of its neighbors in Central Asia, has really delicious food. There's stuff like plav, the dumplings, the manti. There's so much delicious food in that region, and Tajikistan is one of the best examples of it. When I was there, on our way back from Iskandarkul, we stopped at this small little restaurant where you sit on the elevated tables, and there's these puppies, and we just ate huge plates full of rice and meat, and it was really delicious and paradise. It was amazing. We also, in the capital, went to these restaurants where they do traditional dances, and we got up and danced with everybody, and it's just a special place. I really like all of Central Asia. And today, when thinking what's the best country, I knew I had to pick one in Central Asia, and Tajikistan is where it's at. Number 2 is a country that is on most people's lists of best countries in the world, actually. It might be, I would be okay with people arguing it is the best country in the world. I think a lot of travelers think that. I think there are a lot of empirical ways, facts to say that as well. And it was actually the first country that I visited outside of the States where I was born, which is Japan. I went back last year for my birthday for about 10 days. I am with Maki. And Maki's family. Yeah. We went to boarding school together, and 10 years ago we graduated, and we haven't seen each other since then. We are in Ashiya near Osaka and Kobe, and we're on our way to Wakayama, to his parents' house, where we're going to spend the weekend.
wonderful hosts.
Thank you for coming all the way.
And being so cute.
And I was just blown away that I do not visit Japan every year because it is amazing. And a place that's as big as that, with as many people as there are in Japan, there's so much to explore. Also because it has such a long history and such a long history of tourism as well. There's so much to see culturally, naturally.
We are in Wakayama Prefecture on the beautiful Kidaka River in this Japanese bridge. All the family back there.
In different types of like subcultures and like identities to explore, and culinarily, like all the food, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's no place like Japan.
We are in the middle of the river here in Wakayama. Very strong current that we walked through to get to see the sunset over there a little bit.
I honestly think that if I could just get somebody to like fund me for a year to travel in Japan, I would like give up everything to go do that, because it's there's so much to see.
I do not really like heights, but I'm on this very, very rickety wire bridge that like, it's holes in the ground, and every step that you take like rocks back and forth. I went to the middle and now I'm going to very quickly go back. But I can say that I did it. I overcame a fear. But I'm happy to be on land again soon.
Skip, skip, skip. Yeah.
I want to go back and ski up in Hokkaido. I want to go down and surf in Okinawa and in Kyushu, the islands in the south. I want to go to a resort in Fukuoka or to like the south of Kyushu. I've never even been to Shikoku, the smallest of the 4 main islands. I've not been to Hiroshima, which is historically really important, and Nagasaki. There's so much to see. And everything that I've just listed is the stuff I haven't even done. And I've spent, I think in total 3 weeks in Japan. Tokyo is probably one of the best cities in the world. Insane food, fantastic place for business. I mean, so much great nightlife, and just, I mean, when I was there, what I did a lot of was tea. I like went and drank at all these really like fancy, but also famous for having really high quality and delicious teas, eating like mochi balls and different like green tea and matcha ice creams, and of course the sushi, and just interesting things I'd never even heard about. Japan really encapsulates travel for most kind of like Western people, in that it is so different and yet so accessible. And so I am in love with Japan, and I cannot wait to go back again. I hope I get an excuse soon, maybe for the Olympics next year, but yeah, I can go on and on. I love Japan and Kyoto, and also, I don't know, every bit of Japan just makes me happy to think about.
水のメガネ青いお空を飛んだから飛んだからそんぼのメガネはピカピカメガネお天道様を見てたから見てたから
The third country that is the best in Asia really encapsulates a lot of the ideas of what the East is. The East from a Western perspective, obviously, though the West from an Eastern perspective, but you know what I mean. So this country really encapsulates a lot of what people think of Asia, and in terms of the spirituality, and in terms of the nature, and in terms of the cuisine as well, and that is Bhutan. Bhutan is this incredibly special place. It is, the dragon country. When I was there, I asked everybody that I met, all of the Bhutanese, if they believed in dragons or if dragons were real, and they all said yes. And I loved that. And I was really lucky that I was invited there by a friend, so I got to stay in her home. And Bhutan's famous for having a daily fee for all tourists. So I think it's like $200 you have to pay every day as a minimum. And they have a certain number of tourists that they let in every year because they don't want it to be overrun with all these tourists coming in and seeing all of their amazing sights. The most famous one in Bhutan is Tiger's Nest, which is this couple hour walk, like pretty easy walk up to this temple that is in the side of the mountain. Really beautiful. Bhutanese culture kind of being in between India and China and having this long history of protection from others, and that has kind of enabled its sovereignty to remain as this tiny kingdom in between these massive global giants of India and China. It is really fascinating from like a socio-political point of view and a historical one, but that also creates a very unique and somewhat insular culture. Bhutan is also the first place to promote the idea of a gross national happiness as a way to measure the success of their country rather than just economic indicators or health indicators, but how happy their citizenry is. And that's really amazing. And Bhutan is also becoming increasingly a place that is not just an adventure destination or like a unique destination, but there are a few really beautiful hotels that have opened up. It's a place to go and relax. It's really an amazing spot, so it deserves its spot is number 3 on the best countries in Asia. Now, because it's so hard for me to pick countries that are the best, and because this list would change every day, I also want to do a few like short honorary mentions. Number 1, which anybody who knows me is like shocked that wasn't included in the first 3, is the UAE. It's my favorite country in the world. I didn't want to include it on this list because I talk about it all the time. I have dozens of videos there because I live here. I've been here for about 10 years, so that's an obvious one. I think the UAE is the most like fascinating, misunderstood, dynamic place in the world. I love to call it home. 2 others that I talk about a lot in other videos that I think are some of the best in the world are Syria and North Korea, which are not normally places that are like put in this category, but I think in terms of fascination, in terms of uniqueness, in terms of like importance to the way the world works and understanding that, they have a lot to teach us, or we have a lot to learn from that situation. Not that anything that is happening in either of them is good at all or should be modeled, but we can learn from the mistakes that they're being made. So, I mean, that was so hard to think about 3 places that could be considered the best in the continent that has, the majority of the world's land and people. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video that has made you look at Asia a little bit differently, maybe like to think about where to go for your next trip once we're all able to travel. And so please like and subscribe, watch the other videos from all the different countries in the world, and I hope that you will travel safe.